Good morning and happy Wednesday. Now, one of the things, or a few of the things we talk about when we come out on our walks in the countryside is the smell and the sights and the sounds and how they all come together to form this lovely experience of being out here in the countryside. The wind in the trees, the smells of the grass after rain. But one thing we don't talk about very much is the touch, the feel of the countryside. The countryside is tactile. Prince Charles, when he was Prince Charles, was known as a bit of a tree hugger. And we all laughed at him and we all scorned him. And he talked to the plants and he talked to the trees and he talked to nature. I think he was onto something. Nature is a tangible thing. We have this sense in our fingers. And to appreciate things fully, we listen, we see, we smell, but we also touch. The feeling of running our fingers through the grass and how it feels. It's rough. But not all grass is rough. Some of it is smooth and soft. The feelings of the petals of a wild flower, thistles, sharp. The feeling of grass against our ankles when we walk through the countryside in summer with our sandals on or our bare feet. The feeling of leaves on the trees, how they feel different in different seasons, from new to crisp and dead in winter. The feeling of bark of a tree, of the moss on a tree and your fingertips against it. And all bark is different, smooth, of birch or the rough of oak. There's so much complexity to the world around us, isn't there? And we don't really notice it that much. Not the depth, not the complexity, not the nuances of the landscape around us. We see the beautiful colours, the wildflowers, the yellows, the greens of the grass, the different hues of the leaves on the trees. We smell the flowers. I can smell now I'm walking through an area where there are lots of different kinds of flowers, and I'm assailed by scents, very faint but there. I'm coming upon a bank of bracken, a huge bank of bracken, and that smells. Bury your face into a load of bracken and that smells, and it smells beautiful, and it smells of nature, and it's a primal smell. A smell that hasn't changed for thousands upon thousands of years. People thousands of years ago would have smelt the same fragrance coming off these banks of bracken. But we don't often think about the feeling of nature, even the feeling of man-made parts of nature, the man-made aspects that cut into nature. Dry stone walls. Run your hand across the top of a dry stone wall. It's a great sensation. It's history. You can feel the hands of the person who constructed that dry stone wall a couple of 100 years ago. Dip your fingers into a stream or a lake and don't move them. Let the water do the moving. Just stand still. Hold your hand still. On a stream, you can feel the water rushing through your fingers. It's cold. Dip your fingers into the edge of a lake or a reservoir. And even in mild weather, the water, there's movement, goes up and down your fingers. And again, it's cold and primal and pure and unadulterated and clean. Just feel the leaves. All different. All a beautiful sensation. All this variation, not just in sounds and smells, but in touch. Every part of this landscape feels differently. And it's something we don't think too much about. Is it? The touch of a dog's fur. Molly's got the most fabulous velvet ears. I can sit for hours just stroking her ears. And I can call that nature, because she's an animal. She's part of nature. She's walking through nature with her little velvet ears. And a little happy trot. She's enjoying herself today. The wind is picked up. You can probably hear it through the recording. But I hope it doesn't. But it's the wind, again. It's nature. Why not? How old is this tree? What stories can it tell? What has it seen over the years? It will have seen people, different generations, different views, different ways of dressing will all have come up and touched its bark. And it's almost, you can feel the life in it, can't you? And I think this is all relevant. This is all part of simple living, of slow living, of minimalist living, of getting rid of stress. It's all part of that. And it helps us appreciate the countryside around us, because we're seeing again with our fingers. You're seeing more all the time. You're learning. It's a learning curve. But it all goes part and parcel of just getting the stress. At this moment in time, especially in the UK, it's relevant. There's so much stress, so much angst, so much anger. So many people quick to judge each other. But nature just carries on. It doesn't care. And if we were to blow ourselves up and tear ourselves apart, nature would just carry on, regardless. It wouldn't even blink. It wouldn't hitch in a breath. It would just carry on as if nothing had happened. And really, would very much have happened in the scheme of things. And it's not just in nature, it's domestic as well. I was at home last night and I was sitting on the couch, and I've got a new couch, I've not had it long, and I've got a throw over it. And I had a throw over it that was like a knitted one. And then Molly jumped off one day and caught a claw in it, and it pulled the claw backwards, and I had to go to the vet and have it sorted. And she was in a lot of pain, so I took that off straight away, and I got a duvet cover. I was going to say an old duvet cover, but it's not an old duvet cover, it's quite a new one actually. And I put it on, and I was sitting on the couch last night, and I just put my arm up and rested it on the back of the couch, and he immediately noticed how soft the duvet cover was. Even though it was just like cotton, it almost felt like velvet. There was this incredible softness to it. And I think that's what fired me up to do this. And once I'd noticed that this was a sensation that I almost hadn't expected, I couldn't take my hand off. And I sat there just feeling this while I just gazed at nothing. It was really pleasant. So when you're out in nature and you're aware of the world around you and you're aware of things happening, you're aware of animals, deer, squirrels, birds, you're aware of the sound, you're aware of the smell. But don't neglect the feel, because the feel of nature is like no other feeling. It's unique because it's old and it's unchanging. Nature is unchanging. We change nature. We change nature by deforestation and building and loss of habitat and creating habitat like we did in the 70s by planting lots of conifer woodland that was very symmetrical. We change nature. Nature just carries on. So get out there, touch nature. That tree you put in your hand on may not be there tomorrow when they're going to build all these thousands of houses that they're going to have to build. So make sure you feel it and touch it. Appreciate the sting of a nettle. It may hurt, but it's just nature reacting. Nature's self-defense. The trouble is, nature can put up lots of self-defenses, but we can also bring quite a few of them down. But then nature hits back with its bigger self-defenses that we have no fight against. Floods, hurricanes, earthquakes. It's just nature looking after itself. Can't blame it, can you? Anyway, we're going to carry on. We shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.